Welcome to my video on products and sums of real numbers. So we've been talking about real numbers for the last 2 days. And once again, we're going to revisit our Venn diagram. So we call all these real numbers. And then over here, we have the set of irrational numbers. And remember, irrational are non-terminating. Okay, they never end and they don't repeat. Then over here, we have a set of rational numbers. Rational numbers are numbers that can be written as a fraction. Then we have integers. Integers are natural numbers and their opposites, as well as zero. Then we have whole numbers. Whole numbers are natural numbers and zero. So these are our counting numbers, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then natural numbers do not include zero. They are our counting numbers, so we start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they're always positive. Okay, let's look down below. An answer to an addition problem is the sum. And an answer to a multiplication problem is the product. Okay, now we're going to look at what happens when you add two rational numbers and multiply two rational numbers. And we're also going to look at what happens when you multiply a rational and an irrational and add a rational and an irrational. So the square root of 36 is 6 because 6 times 6 is 36. 6 plus 2 is 8. So 6 is what type of number? It's rational. It's also natural, whole, and an integer as well. And then 2 is also rational. So a rational plus a rational equals a rational because 8 is also rational. Okay, over here we have negative square root of 64. So the square root of 64 is 8 because 8 times 8 is 64. But there's a negative in front, so we have to make it negative 8. And negative 8 times 1 is negative 8. Because a negative times a positive is a negative. Now, is negative 8 rational or irrational? It is rational. It's also an integer. And then 1 is also rational. It's also natural and whole and an integer. And a rational times a rational always equals a rational. So let's recap it down here. Therefore, sums or products of rational numbers are always rational. Okay, let's look at our next group of sums and products. So we have the square root of 10, and the square root of 10 is 3.1622 ... And when we do our classwork, we're going to go to 4 places after the decimal. That's what it says to do on our classwork. And then we're going to do ... plus 8 will equal 11.1622. Now, square root of 10, or 3.1622, is irrational because it's not a perfect square, and this is a non-terminating decimal. But 8 is rational, and an irrational plus a rational is irrational. And go ahead and put the ... here. I forgot to do that, showing that it's not non-terminating. And the result is irrational. Okay, so that's what happens when you have a sum of an irrational and a rational. Now let's look at a product. So we have 4 times the square root of 2. The square root of 2 is 5.6568, dot, dot, dot. And when, oh, I'm sorry, scratch that. I was writing the answer. It's 1.4142, sorry about that, dot, dot, dot. And when you multiply them together, you get 5.6568. It's getting a little ahead of myself there. Now 4 is rational. The square root of 2, or 1.4142, is irrational. And you can see when we multiply them together, the result is irrational because it's non-terminating. So let's recap here. Therefore, the sums or products of a rational number except 0 and an irrational number are always irrational. That concludes our notes on products and sums of real numbers. I hope you have a great day.